All right. Here I am. How's it going, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are tuning in from. Thanks for joining me and TC today for this Polyhedra Show live stream. How you doing today, TC?
Very good. How are you doing?
Yeah, always. I'm doing great, man. Had a really, really good day. As you know, we've always great to see you and always great to chat. And thanks for joining us again, man. Really appreciate it, bro. There's been a lot go down this week in our industry and in AI generally. So I might just do a quick run through of all the things I've been reading. So let's kick this off. First of all, OpenAI secured 10 gigawatts custom silicon, which is essentially enough to power a small country. Google's Willow quantum chip, again, solved a problem in 5 minutes that would take classical computers longer, or theorized longer than the universe has existed. MIT now lets AI recognize your exact cat in any photo across platforms. Even if they don't want to track you, they can track your pets. One paper proved that 200 poison inputs can silently hijack a frontier model. Quite scary. Just seen today, the Future of Life Institute just demanded a global prohibition on superintelligence development until safety is proven. Some big names on this paper. We can dive into that shortly. And of course, OpenAI's Atlas was announced, similar to Perplexity's Comet, which launched, AI-powered browsers that can read your screen, automate tasks quietly, turn every confidential project, login, client strategy, whatever you're doing into training data. It's an asterisk on the terms and conditions, so to say, which can also expose you. And a lot of commentators are saying, to indirect prompt injection risks that can compromise your accounts without a single keystroke, essentially. So the theme of today's show, man, and what I want to talk to you about is proof being the new power. Because when AI is running the world, verification, as we always say, is the primary thing that scales. So let's talk about this 10 gigawatt bet with AI and Broadcom. Designing custom AI accelerators at a 10 gigawatt scale, which is, as I understand, similar to 4 nuclear reactors. I see this as being a big moment, an infrastructure moment where AI stops being a service and becomes more infrastructure. So, man, I want to understand what your take is on this. So if AI training now needs kind of nation state energy or more, who really controls the future in this circumstance? Is it the labs, the companies, the governments, the grids, the utilities? What's your take on this, TC?
Well, whoever controls energy and algorithm controls everything. Yeah, so basically it's in short term, it's like public space and the grid controls everything. But as you know, that many big companies trying to build their own power generation plant, and they are going to, I think there will be a race in terms of all kinds of technologies like power technology, energy stuff, and also traditionally algorithm in the inferencing and training. So in summary, it's like whoever controls energy and algorithm controls everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're seeing huge injections of capital into energy production. Obviously, like lithium and things like this, I've seen a lot of money being poured in. I've also read that that a lot of these power, these data centers, there's not enough power, yet to even sustain them. So there's a lot of promises in my opinion, not enough proof, that this is actually going to be something that's going to be able to rolled out in the timeline that's being spoken of. But it's interesting, man.
Well,
I mean,
it's
sorry.
it's pretty good. During my like 10 years 10 years ago, people usually say, okay, there will be always 15 years for the clean nuclear fusion. But I mean, at now, more and more money pours into the field, and we can see that, okay, nuclear fusion maybe going to become the choice for power generation.
Yeah. I think in that project they're doing in the south of France, they've just put together the last components of it to be testing. Is it fusion or fission? I always get them confused.
Fusion.
But yeah, fusion. So that's like they're starting to test this at scale now, which is pretty crazy. I will just say one thing for our community. That they've given us a lot of feedback that we often talk about things, and I ask you 2 technical questions, and it's too technical. So I'm gonna obviously try and layman's it up as much as possible. So it's fusion, and for those who don't know what this is, I encourage you to go check it out. Jump on Google or whatever. Maybe if you're using ChatGPT or you're using Comet or Atlas now, just be careful. But yeah, check it out. Look at what it is. It's essentially like building, similar to like building a sun on Earth, and the more you get more power out than you put in. As I understand it, it's like a hydrogen reaction, similar as like the huge hydrogen reaction in the sky that we have, which is the sun, which is scary, but hopefully they've got a handle on it.
You could say solar power is sort of fusion power.
True. Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, totally. We'll see how it goes, but it's very, very exciting. Okay, man. So let's talk about the AMD beating NVIDIA to the 2 nanometer process node. So break this down for me, because, okay, let me first of all, for the community, 2 nanometers means nanometer process node, which is, it's a chip that is built so small that its tiniest parts are just 2 billionth of a meter wide, which is about the size of 10 atoms lined up. So the way that I understand to think of it is your phone uses chips that are around 5 nanometers today. So using 2 nanometers is like shrinking your entire phone screen down to like a grain of rice or something, but still making it like faster, cooler, smarter. I'm not sure if that's exactly correct, but it's what I understand, TC. So do you think, what's your opinion on this?
Well, that's not exactly correct, but it's good.
Tell me, man.
Well, it's not so it's not like shrinking your screen into a grain of rice. That's too. I mean, that's that's be too big. I mean, but anyway, let's go back to the statement itself.
Yep.
Several things we need to say. Okay, this is a big moment for the chip industry, but for AMD, still a lot of things to do. Because it's not about hardware; it's actually about the software stack and the ecosystem. The CUDA ecosystem is a real barrier for AMD, and it cannot say okay, I got just slightly faster chip, then everybody will come to AMD. CUDA is really hard to break for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
got you. And
all the software developed right at the moment is designed for CUDA, which is a proprietary library for in NVIDIA, and for developers, they just have a very simple slogan. The slogan is like, if your code runs well, just don't change it. Well, they will not change it because it's
Gotcha.
about the stability of your service. For example, if you look at AI companies, they will not change it to a slightly faster chip just because uh they need stable service and they need and they need to pay for the programmer to make the migration. It's very hard. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. That makes sense. So like I'll like tell me if this makes sense. It's like you know, a lot of people use Apple, and
Yeah.
once you're stuck in the Apple kind of the environment, it's become so easy and so like natural to use, and everything is connected. So even though, you know, Android might have way better cameras and better features, it's like, well, it's not really worth making the switch because it's going to take too much time and effort, and I'm not sure if everything's going to work
Exactly.
smoothly. Right. Okay. I didn't understand that, man. I didn't understand that. My understanding of the chip industry was that it was all about speed. I didn't understand the
It
software
is.
layer. So yeah. Of
It
course.
is.
Yeah.
If you can get your GPU like 2 times or 3 times faster than the CUDA compatible one, then they
Right.
will make the change.
Okay. So we need to see 2-3x, not just like small incremental steps. It's not going to make as
Yeah.
big a difference, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I wasn't aware of that. So not a little bit of a pivot here, but something that I read about some US towns blocking data centers over power and noise. So do you think that edge AI, like, so running locally on your phone, SLMs, these kinds of things, you know, and we'll get to the, you know, the, this group sign thing about super intelligence later, but do you think that, like, you know, locally running kind of edge AI is the end game?
I think it's part of the end game. Is when you really care about privacy, and but for most tasks will be cloud based. Well, because of course it's efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
It's efficient. If you do Edge AI, for example, if you want to run big AI in my phone, it will be very expensive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, privacy. If you really care about privacy, that expensive AI may be valuable for those people. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I mean, we'll get to it shortly, but I think being able to run agents, obviously, there's this big pushback that's just been announced on super intelligence. Honestly, man, I you know, all the work that you guys do, you know, and you and your team do, and being a part of this project, it's you know, I often talk to my friends about this, about super intelligence, and you know, it's it having these large models that run into super intelligence is very, very scary. Like, I can understand this petition against it. You know, I personally love what Thinking Machines is doing. I love this like SLM model, and you know, like things like you know, oh, what was it? Google's um
All
I've
right.
forgotten where's the
Yeah.
the biology AI. Like, you could say that's super intelligent, right? But it's
Mhm.
specific to one field, so it's fine for that. Well, AlphaFold. Sorry, that just slipped my mind. But yeah. Anyway, I digress, man. Let's move on. Let's move on to security and integrity. Okay, because this one's super interesting. You know, the scariest attack isn't in the prompt; it's in the training data. So, a new paper showed that 200 to 300 malicious inputs can implant a persistent backdoor in models like Llama 3.1 or GPT-4 class models. They're now testing this with the leading models. It passed, on the front end, it passed every safety test. It looked clean, it acts normal until you trigger it and it executes. So this is pretty scary. Google's put out these bug bounties now, live for Gemini search vulnerabilities. So yeah, I mean, anyone who wants to read more about this, you can find the paper. It's on arXiv or arXiv. Archive paper, just to spell it out. But it's super interesting what they're able to do with these jailbreaking. So man, if 200 bad inputs can essentially hijack a trillion parameter model, how do we scale? Can we even scale that safely? And does that kill the innovation, or are there other routes?
Well, assuming that paper is correct, well, I don't think it's much. It's very important, but assuming it's correct, then what we should do is we treat data as the same security level as the code itself. Well, you can make it traceable, you can make it verifiable, we should say. So basically, every single step you need a chain of evidence that you can trace it back to which data caused the break, who injected the data, and who is the owner of that data. Yeah.
But with this harkens back to a paper as well. But with a trillion parameters, does it make more sense to, for the agentic level, if you have multiple points that are verifiable, if someone can hijack, if this paper is correct and they were able to hijack such a massive parameter model, is it possible to verify that, or is it the prompts themselves that you mean that were input that you need to verify?
Well, I'm not saying verify that. I'm more focused on the responsibility of who is responsible for that. So basically, you make every single step, like who download that data, who created that data, and who is responsible for checking that, and who is responsible for using that data in the training process. So basically, make every single step verifiable, and it can be part of the evidence. It's more important, because then you basically eliminate the possibility of such injection. Who inject that data? Will be a criminal activity, right?
Yeah, 100%. That makes sense, man. Like if these LLMs are scraping data off the internet though and doing it kind of Wild West, then the buck stops with the company, right? Like if that company has taken data and it's not been verified and they've just used it in their training data sets, then the buck really stops with them, right? Like it's their responsibility.
Yeah, that's why we are pushing the verifiable AI narrative. But I think it's the most important part of the work we have ever done.
Yeah,
and
I
this will be
agree.
super important in the future.
Definitely, man. I mean, I've seen so many. Like this again leads on to the governance prohibition, which a lot of people are calling for now. The superintelligence, prohibition, where they want it to stop before we put these guardrails in. And it seems as though, big companies, there's this, it's like a race, and it's a race to where, essentially it's capitalism where people are now they're just answering to the shareholders, which is understandable for a company. But when you're messing with this level of technology, it gets a bit intense because the guardrails aren't in yet. And, we need to be safe before we let it run away, right?
No, I think we should just move forward, accelerate, and make it more intelligent. That's the most important thing. Don't just
Hmm.
don't stop the innovation.
Okay, so you say keep running.
Keep running. Yeah, run
Okay,
as you can,
nice.
as move forward as you can, as possible as you can. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks, man. Okay, love it, love it. Let's have a look here. Uh, let's chat synthetic data. So synthetic data is now dominating training in a lot of these models. With like, can you break down synthetic data for us so that we can understand it better? You know, like, are we building tomorrow's AI on hallucinations? Can you explain your opinion and how this works?
Well, no, I have some experience on this part. Hallucination usually, I think it's usually comes from the fact that AI don't know. People and human make hallucination more than AI do. When you talk about facts they don't know, sometimes the human will say, "Okay, I know this," and blah, 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 which is
Mm-hmm.
and what they said is not true. AI do the same thing when you ask something that AI don't actually know. Well, they will, and because AI is forced to answer your question, the AI will make arbitrary statement
Yeah.
or my arbitrary answer. Yeah.
So
So
how
what
do
I
we fix that?
well, just make it more intelligent and
Mm-hmm.
make it more knowledgeable. Just don't fear the hallucination. It's not a big. I mean, it's not a big issue. I think it's just it's just hurt right now, but it's in the future you will see less and less hallucination when it gets more intelligent.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you make a good point. It is like people. I've worked with a lot of people, and I've had staff, and I've always told them the same thing that I learned coming up, which is if you
Uh,
don't know something, the best thing you can do is ask. If you don't know the answer to a question, never say you understand, because then maybe I'll talk for an hour and you won't understand. Like, that's the jump off point, is where I don't understand. I mean, TC, this is a perfect analogy, man. When I speak to you, like, we'll often go down these like rabbit holes, but I'll be like, wait, stop, like, explain to me what you just said, like the start of it, before you go on, because I'm not going to understand B, C, D, E if I don't understand A. And thank
yeah,
you for your patience, man, because you often do. You're very, very good at being patient with me with certain things. So I appreciate that. But it is true. Like, a lot of people will do that, so it makes sense that the AI is doing it too. And the AI, like you said, it's forced to. It doesn't really have the option to say. But there is a lot of times, if I'm talking to Claude, GPT, X, whatever it is, like Grok, I say, like, if you don't understand, or you like, ask me questions. And there's obviously prompt engineering hacks you can use to make it
uh,
work better. It's just always
yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
But
So
it's like during the training process, it's trained to answer questions. So if you don't
yeah.
say anything explicitly, so for example, I usually say, okay, if you don't know the fact, just do the web search or just tell me you don't know. If you
Hmm.
don't say this,
Yeah.
they will hallucinate.
Totally. Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
hear about? I think we may have spoken about this last week, but the like, Deloitte did it was like a report for the Australian government, and it had like all of these fake quotes, all of these fake references that it just hallucinated. And it was like $500,000 they paid for it, and they gave it to them, and then found that it was just some analyst or consultant had just used
Mhm.
ChatGPT and put it together, and they found out, like, it was just trash, rubbish data,
Yeah.
which goes to show, like, you need to fact check your stuff, people. You don't want to get in trouble with your government. You don't want to get in trouble with your bosses, and you certainly don't want it to be doing your taxes if you're going to get in trouble. So fact check, take it all with a grain of salt. Hey. So on hallucinations, man, I want to ask you: do you think that every model should ship with like a data passport, like either a cryptographic
Sure,
record? Yep.
sure, yeah.
So what about on? Okay, what we were talking about before. So with the inputs or the data points, should all of those be mapped?
Yeah, you need to be traceable for everything, especially when you care about those poisoning attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So is there any way, like for these models that have been trained across the internet without any verification, obviously like the developers, it's often stated that they don't really understand what's happening under the hood. Is there any going back and verifying that now, or do you think, is there any way forward to verify that, or do we need to focus on models, maybe smaller models now, like SLMs that can be verified? What's your opinion?
Well, right now there is no way to do that because I think most companies are still engaging or competing with competing on the intelligence level. And I think in the future there are many technologies like our ZK machine learning, like TE, where can solve this kind of problem. They can make they can help people to verify that okay, this part of data is actually trained, is actually included by in the training set, and who is who is responsible for collecting that data. So we can verify all kinds of things in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I mean, like with our egg platform, you can now input your own data sets for agents, which is pretty cool. I mean, obviously it's using API calls as well from other models, but I think that's really, really great because you can have your
Yes.
own data that you know is right and true and be training it on that, which is a huge leap forward. And shout out to obviously, I mean, I know that your team knows that, but the community has been super happy with the platform and everything that's happening there with the agentic platform that we're testing with our stack. It's really, really cool to see, and really cool to see the excitement and momentum happening there. I actually had a chat with a bunch of the community last night, so shout out to them. Kona Tona Vahan, especially, they made some really cool stuff within the platform, man. Like I was so impressed. I've spent so much time playing with this
Well,
platform, and they blew me out of the water. Like one of the video that Kona Tona made was like, it was like man, it was like Terminator. Like it actually was like introduction to Terminator. It was super cool.
just that the
Anyway,
community
man.
create. Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting around it. It's really, really cool. Anyway, man. Okay. Next thing I really want to talk to you about, because you know that I love quantum.
Oh, quant.
Willow chip. Quantum. You know how
I
much I
know.
love it. Yeah. So another one again, which is Willow achieves a below threshold quantum error correction, solved random circuits sampling task in 5 minutes. So it's estimated that it would take 10 to the 25th years on the fastest classical supercomputer, which is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like that's again, that's older than we estimate the universe to be, or as best to our knowledge. Look, there's a lot of other things in here, but I guess one thing I'd like to ask you first is, if you had access to Willow, um, what would be, what's one problem that you would throw at Willow that you would like to see solved with quantum?
With quantum, well,
Mm.
at the moment, it's really I think it's really a big, very big demo. I think it's a good milestone. But for
Mm.
practical problems, still there is a huge gap. And quantum computer is not it's not a universal problem solver at the moment. It can be faster than classical one in specific questions, in specific problems. For example, like when you want to break the crypto system, it's way faster than the classical one. But when you want to play a game on quantum computer, I don't think it's faster than classical computer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is quantum computer very good at a lot of different problems, but not all of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We still need like combination of different computers. And well, congratulations on the new achievement. Yeah. I think we are
Yeah.
close. We're getting close and close to the real quantum computer where it can solve or can break the crypto system. But also crypto in the community is already prepared for that. Just don't worry about that. It's just take some time to do the software upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the end
So
time.
as it rolls, it's not the end of times. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've had this conversation, with other team members as well. Like post quantum cryptography, and it's good to know that the community, especially the cryptography community, is ahead of the curve there, because that is something that is quite scary. I mean, like classical like encryption is something that we've moved way past now. Like it's not going to hold up in the post quantum world, but now we do have these new methods, which is pretty cool, man. I really want to touch on this Wiley AI gateway. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the start, but it's really interesting to state because they integrated 1.7 million peer-reviewed papers into Claude via AWS, and they found that hallucination drops 92% on scientific queries, which is quite significant.
Yeah.
And they what was it? Routers Digital reported that 27% of global users now prefer AI summaries, but only if sources are verifiable. So really, really important. So they proved that verifiable knowledge works. Obviously, I think it speaks to what we've just been chatting about, right? Like people are getting fed up with all of the trash, all of the rubbish, all of the deep fakes, and they're like, show me something that's real and like make sure it's real. So do you think that's a good enough step forward towards what we're like, towards a verifiable future that we're working on? Or do you think that every AI... Go on.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a very big, it's very impressive experiment. And as I said several minutes before, I think all of the hallucination just comes from the fact that AI don't know it. But if you just feed all of the data, all of papers, and make it part of the AI, then AI will not make a mistake.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, and that it really proves it, right? It's interesting because obviously there's Oracle, like there's all sorts of things, but being able to input your own data, like if you're a lab that is world leading on cancer research, right? Like you're sitting on a bunch of data there that you might not want to just have it stolen or scraped or but you could be feeding a model on that could really help you in your research. So it's really inspiring to see them run these tests. At the same time, you're still going to be building this with models that are open to hallucinations, as you've kind of stated and said, so it's good obviously to have, I was going to say, do you think that all of these, even with, even when you put in your own data, like every response, or specifically related to the information that you've put in should carry like a cryptographic citation chain, right? Like on chain or off chain, but have a cryptographic citation to prove that. And I mean, we can do this now, right? With if we have like, specific data like that, where it's not a trillion floating data points and a bunch of rubbish data, if it's very specific, we can already do that, right? Yeah. So we're there. So that's hell yeah, man. I mean, that's really exciting. That's really, really cool, because it just gives that extra layer of safety and allows, I guess, like if, like, for example, with the cancer lab or whatever kind of scientific lab it is, it gives them like safety and reassurance, knowing that, like, okay, this has been verified, that it's actually used my data in the correct manner. I'm not going to have to double and triple check everything, and allow them the speed of progress to just grow, which is really, really cool. Anyway, again, I digress, my man. Let's last topic. I know we're getting far gone, but I really want to talk about this one because I've just seen it come out today. So the AI governance, the super intelligence prohibition. This is interesting. So yes, October 22nd, the Future of Life Institute dropped a bombshell open letter: prohibit developing superintelligence until it's proven safe, controllable, and backed by public consensus. It was signed by over 800 heavyweights, Nobel laureates, Yoshua Bengio, billionaires like Richard Branson, even Prince Harry. This kind of echoes the 2023 kind of pulse, but a lot louder. And the polls are showing that 73% of Americans want robust regulations, and only 5% at the moment are backing unregulated speed. So yeah, big obviously push here with the open letter. Sam Altman, for context, is predicting superintelligence in 5 years. So do you think a superintelligence ban is realistic, or do you think it's just a bit of media theater amongst this big arms race?
Well, I don't like it, but I don't think it will be a realistic future, because all of these companies still they are trying to race for intelligence. Yeah, they're still actively developing the super intelligence. Well, you don't look at what they say, you look at what they do.
Yeah. So you don't think it's gonna? I mean, yeah, I remember in 2023 it was the same thing. A lot of people saying let's slow down, and then they kept rushing towards it. I'm a little bit terrified, man. I mean, I know that you're really confident, and you're probably more optimistic than I am. The singularity scares me. That's what scares me. Superintelligence, not so much, but the singularity does. I'm like, okay, this thing's going to go crazy. I love Star Trek, right? You know how much I love Star Trek, man. So I see this as a way of getting there. I think it can open up new physics, all these amazing, beautiful things, but it is still scary. So I do think, having, we talk about security and safety and verifiability a lot, and I think these things all kind of align. We do need to obviously get there, but yeah, I don't know. It's very, very interesting, man. Do you think that I mean, the whole thing about superintelligence? A last question. I know that we're coming up on 45 minutes here, bro, so I don't want to keep you for too long. I know you got stuff to do, but if superintelligence could, everyone's saying could end jobs. Other people are saying, oh, every American or wherever you are is going to get $10,000 a month. You're going to be fine, and it's going to be all this. Why wouldn't this pause already be global law? Do you think that the governments have any say in what's going on, or do you think that it's at this point it's kind of unstoppable?
it's kind of unstoppable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's quite similar to what happened like 100 years ago, where when, for example, there is a U.S. and China trying to do the same thing, right?
Mhm.
When one country stops doing that, they will fear, okay, what if the other guy get an advantage using that new technology?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
okay, tribe driven by this fear, not 100 years ago, actually, it's like the space race, similar to a space race.
Similar space race. Yeah.
Yeah, just given this fear, they will move forward and they will make the technology very great. I think the Cold War is quite it's a very impressive period in human history. I like it, where all of the new technologies emerge during this competition, and I think it will do the same thing in current era. Yeah.
So, do you think this is going to be like a digital renaissance where we'll look back, you and me, TC, we'll be sipping some pina coladas, and when we're like 60 or something, and we'll be like, wow, that was a hectic 30 years. You know, that was amazing.
Yeah,
You're
but
very
it will
optimistic
be
about it. Yeah.
amazing. It
Yeah.
will be super amazing.
I agree, bro. We've got to be optimistic, and you know, we've just got to keep working on the mission to make things as safe as possible while it's all growing, right?
Yeah. But we just do
Awesome, man.
whatever we can in this
Yeah,
new era.
that's it. The digital renaissance, mate. All right, TC. Great chatting with you again,
Right.
man. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank
Thank you
you
so
to all of
much.
our community. That's us. Hopefully, yeah, you guys enjoyed this one. I'm going to be back chatting to you guys tomorrow. And thank you for everybody who tuned in. Yeah, just leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We'll be back next week, TC.
Mm-hmm. All right. See
Awesome.
you.
We'll be back. We'll be back next week. All right, man. Have a great day out there, and I'll chat to you soon. See you guys.